Hello. I wanted to come online and give my thoughts on Westworld season 3. So, if you're a fan, it's been a long time coming. Like 2 years. So, I just finished watching the first episode. Westworld is a show that if you haven't seen it, it can be a lot to take in. And even when you think you've got it, you should watch it again. So this review of Westworld will be on my initial thoughts. First of all, I feel as if this time things seem more clear cut. They seem more linear. When we see the opening scenes, there's a diagram and it highlights the divergence in the system. And it goes to, what area of the globe that happens at in real time, which I thought was something different. Because normally when you're watching Westworld, part of the challenge of watching it is trying to find out, what time are we? Are we now? Are we here? Or was this 30 years ago? So I like the fact of knowing that what they're showing, it is in the future. On to Dolores. She seems to be up to something. She is definitely up to something. Not quite sure why she wants total control of the network, the system. I found it kind of fascinating how she's able to maneuver herself around people based on the information that she's data mined from Westworld. So all of the cruel things that maybe the men have done while they were in the park. If you haven't seen it, I'm not going to give out too much, but she sort of takes them down a trip of memory lane. And it was quite interesting. I think the biggest paradox with Dolores, it seems to be one that's ongoing, is that she always has an intention of freeing someone. At least that's her premise. But her premise of freeing someone always comes with death. Somebody must die. So for all this peace and freedom, I just find it really kind of strange that it always comes at a cost of someone else. But we were introduced to Dolores, and then we're also introduced to Caleb. And it looks like Caleb is suffering from a little post-traumatic stress. Looks like he was a military person, and a good friend of his died. And the whole time I'm thinking he's doing like group therapy, online or on the phone. And it's actually, a recording of his friend. And whatever program that they have is actually using his voice to communicate with him for therapeutical purposes. And I thought it was really touching near the end when he said, really, I just want to talk to a human. And the program was like, okay, well, and he's like, I think I'm ready to disconnect. So I thought that was kind of cool, especially like right now, like, you can't make a phone call to any business, entity and not get a live person. Even the ones that are small business, they have, answering services and stuff like that. So the fact that you could talk to somebody real, somebody tangible, I thought was it was just a great thought. Near the end, he finally meets Dolores. And this is after he's been saying he just wants to meet somebody real. And what happens? Dolores falls in his lap. That might be something he regrets later. But anyhow, moving on, the other character of the story is Hale. Now, I am very curious to find out who Hale is. Who the hell is Hale? Okay? That's real talk. Because we know the real Hale was killed in season 2. And in season 3, Dolores took a couple of different program brains. That's what I want to call them. And it'll be interesting to see who it is. Who is Hale? I was really thinking that Hale was the other blonde lady because she's been there. She is her real day one. I want to say her name is Angela. I'll have to check that. If you know what her name is, put it down below. But I'm pretty sure it's Angela. So Angela is, I guess, doing her bidding at the table because her position is the board of directors. She's the head honcho in proxy. So we'll come to see more how that position plays out and who that character actually is. There's been some speculation that it's Peter Abernathy. I don't think it's her dad. I don't think that he may have been able to, I guess, function on the level in the real world. But I guess all things are possible. It is Westworld because even though it's in the future, we still don't know how much more in the future. They give you a reference point that one of the investors is looking on a newspaper and it's talking about the aftermath of Westworld. So we know it's still very close and they still haven't figured everything out yet. So could she in that time have trained up Peter Abernathy? I don't know. But it'll be interesting. Then we're going to go to the other third character who's sort of still developing in the back, who's also in the real world, is Bernard. So Bernard has been blamed for all of the killings that happened in the park. And somehow, some way, he got out too. And my thoughts of that are that maybe she took Bernard's brain, because at the end of season 2, one of the very last scenes, she was in the house in the real world and created a new Bernard. And she said, but you're going to help me, but you're not going to be my friend. So he's going to be a worker. What is he going to be? And he is the fall guy for everything. So it seems like he is in the real world too. So it'll be interesting to see what goes on with him. He has a little clicker that sort of does a programming for him. And in his clicker, when he asks, how long has it been since he's talked to Dolores? It says, I forgot, 96 days or something like that. So it's like 3 months after this event. It's going to be interesting how, even though now he's in the real world, he still depends on something to sort of define his narrative and give him that reoccurring structure that his inner self would give him if he was in the park, if that makes any sense. The new character, Caleb, they're showing us that he's human, but just like I said, when he's interacting with his mental health clinician that has the same tone and cadence of his best friend that died, I think that's a parallel to being in the park, because that's his inner narrative, trying to encourage him to do the right thing, not to give up, that the system may be rigged, but you can do better. So his inner narrative is displayed much like how the hosts were in Westworld. So with that, that's just my opening thoughts. I'm excited for the new season. I wasn't automatically thrilled. Like at first I was thrilled, and then I was like, So I don't know. I'll watch it again. What I found about Westworld, it's one of those shows, like after you watch it, because I wasn't the greatest fan over season 2. I am not going to lie. But after I watched the season again, I had a greater appreciation for what was going on. And I was able to glean out a better understanding than what I did when I watched it the first time. Because I watched the whole season again, maybe about a month ago, just to make sure I'm fresh on what's going on this season. So let me know what your thoughts are. I am interested in this show. I will be doing a review and my thoughts once a week on Westworld. Season 3. Oh, and by the way, this season they're not doing 10 episodes. They're only going to do 8. But the first episode was an hour and 15 minutes. So, basically they're doing 10 because that extra 15 minutes adds up to another hour of the show. Actually, an extra 2 hours of the show. So it's going to be interesting. Here's to Westworld. Thanks for listening.